Hey, hey, good evening, happy weekend, happy Sunday. Pumped to be here with you sharing this training tonight. So excited. And where's my hair gone? Let's just address that pink elephant in the room, because last live I did on Thursday night in my group, if you were on there. Or even the live I did last Sunday, if you saw that, I had really long hair. And it was extensions, of course. But I had a disaster. I've got my extensions booked. Hi Ozma, I've got everything booked in ready for my photo shoot that's happening this week. I've got a brand photographer flying in to do some branding pics with me. Gillian, divine, her name is, check her out, amazing brand photographer. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But anyway, so you've got to get photo ready, right? So I've got all these things booked, lashes, hair, nails, blah, blah, blah. Get to the salon to have my extensions taken out, like pushed back up high and my colour done, to be informed that, oh, the colour the stylist left, like she's gone, sorry. So I was like, okay, that's okay, don't worry, I can have someone else. No, there's no one here to do it. I'm like, you fucking kidding me? So I've got to go tomorrow morning and have it done. So it's all a bit of a rush. But guys, enough about that. When you're logged in, give me a hashtag replay. No, give me a hashtag live. I always say replay first, it makes no sense. Give me a hashtag live if you're live, because there's a competition. And for you to take part in this competition and win, you need to follow these instructions. So I loved giving away a free copy of my book last week on my live series. And that got posted out a few days ago, so congratulations. I did announce it on the last post, go and check that out if you haven't seen it. But I want to do the same again for you guys this week, so I'm going to give copies of my book out a lot, because I want it to just, I really wrote it to get my message out there far and wide. And when I say give it to you free, I don't mean, have you seen these shitty posts where people go, free book? Just give me your details for a free book. I don't want your details. I just want to give you a free book. And I'm not going to say you've got to pay the postage, which is like 25 quid. It always makes me laugh when I see these adverts. I'm just going to give you a book for free, but you've got to take part. So here's what you need to do. Hashtag live if you're live. Hashtag replay if you're watching on replay. Tell me where you're logging in from. You don't need to give me your address. Just like, where are you in the world? Because it really helps me in terms of working out where my audience is for when I'm going to be doing some live events coming up shortly. And can you, as we're busting some myths tonight, if you think I've just busted a myth, I want you to do a big busted in capitals in the comments when you feel like a myth's just been busted for you. Because what we're going to be doing tonight is we're going to be busting some selling myths. The myths that I had to bust, the beliefs I had to change to go from terrified of selling and believing I was really shit at it to generating $400,000 in the last 12 weeks on my own. That's not including my sales team, that's me, just me. And thank you Georgina, what a lovely thing to say. So as you're getting logged in, make sure you're taking part in the competition, and let's bust some myths. Let's bust some myths wide open. So here we go. Selling. Now, why am I doing this tonight? Because I see people struggling with it over and over again. Female entrepreneurs that are just not earning their worth because they're not selling. And they have this, I can't sell. I'm finding it really difficult to get clients. I'm crap at selling. Or even, I don't want to be good at selling. I don't want to be a salesperson. That's not why I'm an entrepreneur. That's not why I'm building my business. I want to help people. I don't want to be a salesperson. I hear you. But it's bullshit, because life is selling, and I can tell you it's bullshit with love and kindness because I've been the person saying this stuff. So I do understand, I really do. And whenever I call you out on my bullshit, on my bullshit, whenever I call you out on your bullshit, I always do it with love and positive intention. I do it because I want to see you kill it, and I want change for you. I want that for everybody that logs into these lives. I want that for everybody that I work with, everybody I touch in some way. So I have to tell you this stuff sometimes. It's bullshit because life is sales. You either get with that program and decide that I'm going to embrace that, or you get left behind in life. Don't mean about business, because everything's selling, everything's about influencing and sales. You don't have a business if there's not a valuable end product or service moving. You just don't. Ellie, whoever wears your hair, someone logged in late, you'll have to catch up. So you just don't have that, and you don't have profit if you're not moving product or service. So therefore there has to be an element of sales in any profitable business. But life sales, whether you're selling yourself to a partner who you want to date, or a boss that you want to work for, you're always going to be selling yourself or something through life. So it's just get good at it. And you know what? It's the three things that I notice the most are the biggest things that stop people from getting really good at this and killing it and becoming wealthy for themselves. Because let's face it, and I say this over and over again, but it's never been easier, has it? Like seriously, social media, the internet, it's making it really possible for average people like me, because I am average, just a normal girl from a normal background and normal education, for normal people like me and you to become millionaires online with an online business. That's what's happened. That's what's happened to me, and it can happen to you too. But there's three things I see stopping people when it comes to selling. One is what they believe good at sales actually means. Their perception of what it looks like to be good at sales is normally off. The second thing is their beliefs around sales itself and how that makes them feel emotionally, because everything, it starts with a belief and a feeling, because if we feel icky about something, then we're not going to give it our best and we're not going to really try. And the third thing is looking for the magic bullet. Like I see everyone looking for this magic script, this script that's going to change your life, that you can just take, read from and become a sales machine. It doesn't exist. So here's my story, just very briefly. I'm not going to bore you, I promise, but a snapshot into where I was and where I am in terms of this particular topic, because I was that person. I was the person that would always say, I'm no good at selling, I'm not that person, I'm an introvert by nature. You might not think it on these live videos, but I have to go and rock in a dark room when I come off these live videos. It's who I am. I like to read books, I like solitary hobbies, not your typical salesperson. I would never have applied for sales jobs. I thought salespeople were the worst kind of people. I did, it was me. And I never believed I could be good at something like that. So how does one go from that to 400 grand in the last 12 weeks on my own, just selling it by myself without my team? How does that happen? Well, the first thing is, I decided when I became an entrepreneur that I needed to get good at it. When I decided that I don't want to work for anybody else again, I do not want someone telling me anymore where I need to be, when I need to be there and what I need to do. I want to do me. As soon as I decided that, I thought, well, I've watched The Apprentice, there's always a sales task, I need to get good at sales. Do you know, whenever I used to watch that Apprentice, the series, whenever it came up and it was a sales task, I'd be like, oh, this is where I'd fail. All the rest I'd be fine at, but the sales bit is where I'd really fuck up. That was my belief. So I went and got a job as a solar panel salesperson. I mean, I didn't know anything about solar panels. I just thought I need a job that's going to teach me how to sell. That was my thought process. And I got this job and I learned all the scripts and I went through the trainings and I went out on the road from 7 a.m. till 8, 9 p.m. some nights, like really long hours driving. And I thought, do you know what, I can do this, because these aren't cold leads, these are qualified leads. These are people that have called and said, I would like solar panels, can you send someone around to talk to me about it? So I'm going to turn up and I'm going to tell them what I need to tell them, they're going to buy, and I'm going to get confident at selling in the process. Should have been easy. And I did really well at it at the beginning. However, one conversation with my auntie changed everything, and it broke this illusion of what I was selling, and suddenly I couldn't sell anymore. My auntie said to me, she was just telling a story about this Hoover salesman. Is it Kirby Hoovers? They're really expensive Hoovers anyway, and it's like door-to-door salesman, knocked on my nan and granddad's door years ago, when my granddad was still alive, and went in the house, and he was there for like 3 or 4 hours, badgering them into buying this Hoover that they didn't need or want, and in the end they very nearly bought it just to get him out of the house, old couple. And she was just in conversation in general telling me about this, how she was upstairs in a room at the time and she came down and asked this man to leave. And I thought, oh my, it's awful, like I can't think of anything worse, like, and all I could think is, how can that man sleep at night? But this story was in my mind as I was going into these houses. Not that I would have ever been that person, but it was with me. And I was going into old people's houses that had put their hand up and said, I think I'd like to know more about solar panels as an investment for my you know, for when I'm gone, a part of the legacy that I leave, I want to put my money into that. And I'm going into a lot of people's houses that could be seen as vulnerable. And I just started to feel like, you know, how vulnerable these people really are, and all I wanted to do was do good by them. And as I was going through these investments with them, I could see that actually, this person's like 80, and I'm sorry if somebody's in solar panel sales on the call. I'm really sorry. It's not that I don't believe in solar panels, but it's not a smart investment for everybody, and the reason's got to be there, and it's got to be right for them. And some people it wasn't right for, so I began to say to them, I don't think this is right for you. And I'd tell them not to buy, and then I'd leave the house and go back to the office, and my boss would say, how was it? But I wasn't right for them. Oh, why not? You seem to be closing less. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not right for them, I'm not going to close it. And he wanted me to force a close that wasn't right, and I couldn't do that. And it shattered everything for me. So I ended up becoming the worst salesperson ever because I was telling people not to buy. And then when I left that and had that experience, I thought, I need to get good at this, but I need to get good at it my way. And that's where it started. I developed a system that works and converts serious numbers of sales, but that kept my values and morals intact, because that's more important to me than anything. I need to put my head on the pillow at night and know that I'm making a difference in the world, and that I'm doing right by people. And I genuinely believe if you just do right by people, business takes care of itself. People talk at the end of the day. Even if you're running an online business, it's still a small world and people will talk. So I needed to develop a system that felt in alignment with who I am and kept my integrity intact. And this is what I'm going to share with you now. What I had to do to develop that system is unlearn some of the things that I thought were true and relearn some of the things that are actually true when it comes to selling, and develop a system from that. And there's 25 points in total. I'm going to give you 3 tonight because I haven't gone online, neither of you, and I'm sure you don't want to listen to me for that long. But 3 of the ones that will have the biggest impact if you can unlearn this and bust these myths tonight, so that you can go ahead and start to sell more. And if you're just logging in, please say #live if you're live, replay if you replay, because you get entered into the competition yet. I want to send you a free book. It is free. No shitty high posted packages, it's just totally free. And also, if you think that I say something tonight that busts a myth, I want you to type in capital letters, busted. Myth number 1. Myth number 1 that I had to unlearn was that you have to have the gift of the gab to be good at sales. That's what I thought. Give me some hearts if you think the same, or just type yes, I thought that. You've got to be good at talking. You've got to know what to say. You've got to have the gift of the gab to be good at sales. Do we believe that? Have we ever thought that? Have we ever believed that? I did. That's what I thought. It's not true. What we have to be good at is listening to be really good at selling. The best listeners will always build more rapport than the best talkers. Every time. Because it's listening to someone that builds rapport. It's making someone feel heard that builds rapport. And people buy when they feel that they can trust the person that they're talking to. But when I say listen, I mean really listen. Not listen because you want the sale, but listen because you give a shit. Listen because you want to understand that person's world, and you genuinely want to form an opinion on whether what you can offer them is right for them. You can't do that by being good at talking. I was taught to go into houses with sales scripts and talk someone to death through a sales script. I could sell with that script, but was it right for them? I don't know, because I didn't really do much talking. It was me doing all of the talking. And that's not right. And it wasn't until I started doing more listening and asking more questions than doing more talking that I started to understand that it wasn't right for some of these people, and therefore I can't sell it to you. Because you talking somebody into buying something that's not right for them isn't you being good at sales, it's you being a liar and a cheat, a scammer, the worst kind of person. That's not what being good at selling is about. Selling should be about really listening to somebody and asking ourselves, can I help this person with my service or product? Is this 100% without a doubt right for this person? Is it going to provide a solution to their problem? And if the answer is yes, then you might want to start doing some talking and letting them know that, absolutely. then we need to articulate our worth. But in the offset, it should never be about us doing all the talking, it should be about us doing all of the listening. So, phrases like, when I'm hiring people for my sales team, the biggest warning sign is when someone says to me, and it happens a lot, when someone says to me, I can sell ice to the Eskimos, I can sell sand to Arabs. They're the two things that people have said to me. And if you find that offensive racially, then I'm sorry, but they're not my words. That's what someone said. Now, I'm not interested if you can sell ice to Eskimos or sand to Arabs, because Eskimos don't need any more ice and Arabs don't need any more sand. So why are you telling me that shit? That is not attractive to me. And that's important, because you would have heard these phrases, I'm sure you would have heard these phrases too. And you've got to think, seriously? That's not what being great at sales is about. What you're describing is being great at manipulating. And I wouldn't be shouting about that. So, number one, let me know if you think we've just bust a myth. That you need to be good at talking, have the gift of the gab to be good at selling. No, not true. Number two, sometimes you have to apply some pressure to help people make a decision. I've heard this so many times, guys. Have you heard this? Any of you that have ever had sales jobs or been in an environment where you've been encouraged to sell, you hear people say, sometimes you need to apply some pressure so that people feel comfortable making that decision. We have to make people feel comfortable making the decision. No. What we have to do is be honest with people. That's what we need to do. Just be honest with people. For example, my prices are my prices. They're just my prices. They don't change depending on what day it is. I'm never going to say to someone, that price you can have today, but you need to make your decision today. Because if you come back tomorrow, that price will be increased. What the fuck is that all about? If someone said that to me, I'd be like, keep it. I don't want it now. But you hear this stuff. Why would a price change from day to day? I tell you why. To knee-jerk reaction somebody into buying something that probably isn't right for them. That's not nice. Maybe another thing that I'll hear people say is things like, well, there's limited availability, so if you don't act now, then you might miss out. Don't say that unless it's true. I'm honest with people to the point where I will call out their bullshit. Don't get me wrong, because I have to do that as a coach. Selling a service to people that helps them to be more successful, that helps them to kill it. I can't say to somebody, it's okay for you not to do this, because it's not okay. If I've decided this is right for you, but by listening to you and I know I can provide a solution to your problem and you're not ready to invest in this now and you're telling me you want to be a millionaire, no you don't. That's like saying you want a six-pack and sitting on the sofa eating cake. If you want a six-pack, that you're in the gym every day, and if you want this, then you're working with me. It's as simple as that. And I'll call people out just like that. I've got no issue doing that. It's my duty to do that. I've got to bust through their fear that's holding them back to help them become the person I know they can become. I'm not saying it's not okay to do that. It's okay to do that, but I would never say to someone, if you invest with me today, it will be this, but if you invest with me tomorrow, it'll be more expensive, so you need to do it now. And I would never say to someone, I've only got X amount of spaces left, unless I've got X amount of spaces left. It is what it is. They might not be there. Take your time if you need to, but the spaces might not be there. If I can give you room to breathe and think and go away and chat and do that, I would want that. I would absolutely want that. So that's number two. Give me a big busted in capital letters if you think we just busted another myth wide open, which is sometimes you have to apply pressure and kind of fabricate things. No, you don't. You have to be really honest with people, and you have to have their best interests at heart. If you know and you've spent the time listening and understanding, and you know that what you offer is right, then you'll have no problem telling them, and you'll have no problem calling them out a little bit if they're not taking the required action to get the necessary change that they want, because you care about them. But it should only be because you care about them, nothing else. And number three, you have to close them there and then, or else you've lost them. Who's heard that before? You've got to close them on the call, if it's a sales call or whatever, or a meeting or face-to-face. You've got to do it there and then or else you've lost them. I'm sorry, but if that's the case, then you did a really shit job in the call, and you're putting yourself in a position where that person has to make a knee-jerk reactions for it to feel right. If it feels right, then it feels right. And if that person needs to go away, especially if they're parting with large investments, if they need to go away and sit with that and work out if that's right and chat it through with their husband, then you give them that goddamn space. Never. It makes me cringe. I've parted companies with coaches that I've worked with that coached me based on this stuff, because I had to feel aligned to get the sort of results that I've got. You know, I pre-frame fear with people. If someone says to me, I want to work with you, Michelle, I want you to be my coach, but I need to go away and I need to talk to my husband, I need to look at finances, whatever. Yes, of course, do that. I would want to do that. Every coach that I've ever worked with, I've paid a lot of money to work with coaches. I'll listen to what they've got to say, I'll process it, and I'll go away and I'll sit with that information, I'll chat it through with my husband, and then I'll make a decision. And if it's right, then my decision's going to be yes, and if it's not, then it's going to be a no. I'm not going to give you my money there and then. It's just not going to happen. I'm not saying that's a bad idea. Some people literally on the call will say to me, let's do it, because they are ready to go and they're the person that makes all the decisions, and that's okay. But if someone says to me, I need some time to think, the first thing I'm going to do is say, okay, but I want to pre-frame the fear with them. Because what is true is that when people go away to think, they can talk themselves out of things through fear. Oh God, it's a lot of money, what if I fail, what if I fuck this up? It's obvious, you know, that stuff happens to all of us. I've done it, but I can recognise it. So if I've just had a great call and I'm about to spend 6 figures working with a coach, I'm going to go away and start processing that, and I'll hear that voice going, oh Michelle, it's a lot of money, you can buy a house. Blah, blah, blah. But I recognise what's fear and what's real through self-development. Not everybody does. So I pre-frame that for them and I say, look, it's going to be a roller coaster for you the next 24 hours while you're thinking. You're going to talk yourself in and out of this a lot, but it is fear, and I just want to pre-frame that for you, because everything you've ever wanted is the other side of that fear, and I want to help you recognise what's fear and what's not, and I help them to do that. But I'm not going to try and force them into a decision right now that's not right for them. So what have I written there? I just want to make sure I capture everything for you. I don't know. I don't know what I just scribbled on that. I don't know what it is. But the fortune absolutely is in the follow-up. That's true. What you can't do is go, yeah, well, just come back to me and let me know. Because the thing is, it's your job to help that person feel comfortable, ultimately. And for me personally, it's not possible for me to go, yeah, just come back and let me know. I don't have the privilege of doing that for people, because it means that I know for certain those spaces will go if they think for too long. I get about 150 applicants for every one space that becomes available to work with me in my coaching program. So they go quick. So I make sure people are aware of that, but I also I communicate with them every step of the way. So I'm like, right, if I give you a call this time tomorrow, I know between now and then I've got maybe one call with one other person. So there's still going to be one place left if there's 2, for example. I'm really honest with them. I'm just honest. And if there's 3 places left, and so I can pre-frame what's happening for that person, so they're in the picture every step of the way, and the call's booked in so that we can chat again and go through those questions, concerns, whatever might have come up for them in that time, and then let's make that final decision. So yes, we've got to create some urgency, because there should always be urgency there. I mean, especially if you're a coach, because what you're helping people do is break through barriers and get to the next level of success. And if someone wants to wait 6 months, then I don't want to work with you. Like, I'm a let's go sort of coach that wants to work with let's go sort of clients. Like, I want to work with people that are hungry, ready, right now, let's do it. Like, I want this, I'm hungry, just give it to me. That's my ideal client. So if someone's saying to me, give me a couple of weeks, I'll think about it, I'm like, no, like, you're not my ideal client. It's not going to work for either of us, because my program only works if you are the person that I built it for, because I built it with a very specific person in mind, like a hungry, go-getting entrepreneur. And if you're not it, then you're not going to get the result anyway, so let's not do this. And that's the other thing, you've got to be certain of what you've got. Who is it for? really specifically, who's it for? Specifically, like that niche, that clear crystal. I mean, I could paint my ideal client and tell you exactly how she thinks, feels, acts, what she's worrying about at 3 o'clock in the morning and how it's showing up in her life. I know her better than she knows herself. I've been her. So everything I've built is for her. If someone comes through the door that's not her, I can't help you, and I'm not going to pretend I can. So that's really important too. And that's the three myths that I had to bust to break through that barrier and be able to have the sort of success that I've had. And that's 3 of the 25. I wish I'd got more time to share loads with you, but we can only do so much in these calls on a Sunday. I hope that's really helped some people out there though that have been carrying some of that same shit, those same beliefs. If it's helped you, let me know. Comment and let me know, because your feedback is what helps me to develop these trainings every Sunday. I want to know what's helping you. I want to know what you want to see more of, less of, so that I can keep helping you in the way that I am, the way that I hopefully am. So don't forget to take part in my competition. I want to post out a free copy of my book to you. You need to #live or #replay and tell me where you're from. And then also busted in capital letters if I've said anything that's been busted for you. Mwah. Lots of love, guys.